Hey there, welcome back to the lab. I'm Daddy Clay. We're here with the Unexpected When You're Expecting author, Mary K. Moore. Mary, thank you very much for coming into the lab.
Thank you for having me.
You're very brave for being here.
You seem safe. I'm comfortable.
I'm okay. I'm confident I'm okay. Although after reading this book, I'm a little bit intimidated that you're going to be funnier than me.
Oh, well.
Which is not allowed. I'm not sure if you got that.
On page or in person is two different things.
Both of those things are inappropriate as far as, because this is a really, really funny book.
Thank you.
And I really enjoyed reading it. So I think moms and dads need to go hold this thing. So I got you here. You're an expert on this whole pregnancy thing. So let's talk about guys and pregnancy.
Let's do.
They're involved.
They're involved.
Certainly in the process. My question is, what are dads doing that's really dumb, knuckleheaded?
Well, I mean, I think it's tough for fathers right now because the lines have really been blurred between, the generation before them, which was a lot less involved, versus the new generation, which might take it to creepy, sensitive guy extremes. You want a guy who comes to your appointments and asks about your well check. You don't want the guy who gazes into your belly like a crystal ball. So I think it's a matter of kind of defining your manhood versus, just taking it to a level that is just uncomfortable even for her.
Yeah. So go to the gynecology appointments or not?
I think you can go. I think if you can, sure, if that's what you feel comfortable with and what your partner feels comfortable with. I think it's a good way to kind of know, get more insight into what she's going through in the sense of not just the appointment per se, because you can't really get a sense of that when you're not in the stirrups, but at least when you hear it from the doctor and you can ask questions and you can seem very attentive and involved, which most men are. But I think just being there, talking to the doctor, and just showing interest firsthand can go a long way and will buy you time to be quiet when you're home.
And when does it cross over to staring into your wife's belly like a crystal ball? Like, what crosses the line?
The maternity photo. If you've done the maternity photo and you stared into the belly, you've taken it too far, dude. That's
the picture?
Yeah, you don't want that.
You don't want the tummy picture?
I had my husband come to the maternity photos, and he stood by me. I was like, you can be near me, but just don't gaze. We don't gaze into my body in any way, shape, or form.
So which leads me to my next question. So you're in the OBGYN's office, and the doctor invites you to observe something that's developing in the body of your partner.
Oh, well, I don't think that's necessary.
Yes or no?
No, not if you're not. I mean, if you're comfortable, sure. But if you're not comfortable, don't do it, and then explain to her later. I remember, my husband is a physician, and you would think that he'd be very comfortable with these processes, and he wasn't at all, because he said, that's the thing,
Nice, doc.
It's you. Yeah.
Nice, doc.
Yeah.
You're a little bit, suddenly you're no longer an MD, it's the magic place.
Well, it's,
right, doc? Is that what you're telling me? All these years of medical training, down the tubes when it's your own wife.
That's right.
It's back, and I noticed you used the phrase sugar walls in the book.
You got to give the print shout out.
Suddenly, it's the sugar walls. But it's kind of an awkward moment. Like the doc says, hey, if you'll step over here, you can see the irritation on the cervix. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, hey. Keep in mind, I think women have to keep this in mind too. I mean, obviously you're going through this experience, but men want to keep, I think, some mystery, and that they want to be, you can be supportive down here on this end. You don't necessarily have to be supportive on that end. Because maybe you can, she may not even be able to handle it if she were looking on the other side. Because, and you have to think about this, you have to give a guy some credit. When you watch a birth, it was just a few, there'll be hours before her vagina was literally looking right back at you. And that can be unsettling
we're going to get
anyone.
to labor and delivery. Not that vaginas can look.
No, well, whenever you see a head and a set of eyes coming out, then they can look.
We're going to get to the whole labor and delivery thing. Let's back up for a second and inhabit the safer territory of pregnancy.
All right.
Let's take it one trimester at a time, and you tell me, give me some suggestions how a dad can bring value. What a dad can do that's positive. First trimester.
Well, I think going to the doctor appointments, if you can, go to all of them, great. Because I think there are a lot of doctors who do understand that some dads don't want complete physical involvement, in the sense of Maybe they feel, and it's not, I think, being selfish. It's really, I think for men, it's hard to see your wife in a position, bad term, but such vulnerability and the inability to do anything about it. It's a very powerless feeling. And I think women have to recognize if he does feel a little less inclined to be involved, like really in it, it's probably because he's just scared to see you in that way and he can't do anything to help you. Men are very action oriented, and if you're sitting there and the doctor's the person who's doing everything, it can feel helpless. But what you can do is just be more emotionally supportive. Go to the appointments. If you feel like you don't want to go inside for some reason, at least wait for her in the waiting room if you can, and then when she comes out, ask her all the questions that you would have. How
about holding her hair while she boots up the breakfast burrito?
Well, you want to probably take it to.
How about second trimester? What's going on in the second trimester? So you've been supporting the doctor. What?
I think you have to be really sympathetic because in the second trimester, some women still, are just now starting to show, but you're having these full-on symptoms, or you may be pulling right out of the morning sickness. And that's another thing about first trimester too, and part of second. Women are going to be having a lot of symptoms that aren't necessarily apparent. You may feel nauseated. I think it's just important to be sympathetic, really listen, ask follow-up questions, and just do her evil bidding for her.
How about evil bidding in the second trimester?
Anything. Okay. Go and get ice cream.
Third, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of carpooling involved.
Exactly.
Third trimester, she's really big, about to pop. What can Dad do to be supportive and helpful in that trimester?
Oh, well, I think it's really important to make her feel beautiful. And most men, I do think, find women who are pregnant very beautiful, especially if it's their partner, because it is a huge life experience where she's carrying your child, and they're really, that's a really natural time for a woman, and it looks, and she just has a glow about her. I think it's important when you see that, just say it out loud, not just acknowledge it in your head. Say it out loud. Be supportive, obviously, with the physical challenges she's dealing with, but emotional support is so important because you may be feeling a certain way towards her, but at that time, she's really going to be just a hormone soup. So,
And, on that, it doesn't really work if you also offer that support to other women.
Yes,
Wow, that's a really hot pregnant lady.
Yeah, keep your eyes.
Wow, she looks great. So it's not a universally applied principle that you shouldn't find all pregnant ladies beautiful.
Well, you can find women beautiful so long as it's not I think most women are secure enough. If my husband thinks someone's beautiful, it doesn't bother me so much as you just don't want there to be a line crossed.
Daddy Brad asked me to ask that question because he's like, I won't even attempt to do my Daddy Brad.
Well, you have to. Men still have eyes and they see things. Seeing and acting on something is a totally different situation. But you do want to be particularly sensitive that although you may think she's beautiful pregnant, she probably doesn't feel that beautiful. You do feel very much out of sorts because you're just this alien in your own skin. And there is a lot of insecurity because you are a different person this part of your life for a while. And you're unstable both physically and a little emotionally. So you have to give her that reinforcement as much as possible. More so probably than you would normally.
Well, so there we've got it. According to Mary Moore, author of The Unexpected When You're Expecting, first trimester, you want to attend those doctor's visits. In the second trimester, do her evil bidding. And in the third trimester, help her to feel beautiful. Mary, thanks very much for joining us in DadLabs. We'll see everybody else next week right here. Hey, go out in that community at dadlabs.com, create a profile, and start conversations with amazing experts and authors just like Mary Moore. You'll find her there too.